Alright, I didn't want to do this one, but you guys wanted it. Here's Justin Bieber's Daisies. The tempo for this one is 110 beats per minute, and the track is produced by Eddie Benjamin, Carter Lang, Dijon, Daniel Chetrit, Sir Dylan, and Mk.gee. Now the reason why I didn't want to remake this one is because it is a guitar heavy track, and when working with MIDI for guitar, it doesn't sound all that desirable, especially the sounds of the guitar in this track. But I challenged myself to do it, and I think we did a decent job. Let's get to it. All right, so here is the session. You can see there's only a couple instruments in this track. You have guitar, you have an organ, and you have some drums. This is just the MIDI reference for the guitars. So really a total of 3 tracks minus the vocals. Let's start with the guitars. So that guitar is in an audio format is because I bounced it down from MIDI. Let's dive deep into the MIDI. So here is the guitar instrument breakdown right here. This is the MIDI instrument that we used in Logic. Let's go ahead and unmute that. I'll just make it a little louder. So the instrument that we're using for that track is Logic's Studio Bass. We're using the 60s bass preset, and nothing was pretty much adjusted here. It's pretty much straight out the box for the preset. The magic is in the placement of the notes and the different velocity of each note. Now it took a while to get that down. That's why we're not remaking it from scratch. So for that, what I done was I took a match EQ to match the tone of the guitar in the original track. So without it, let's just go one by one here. That's what it sounds like without anything. So that's just an EQ to match the guitar reference from the original track. And then we added in this amp over here just to give it more of that roomy live tone. We're using the British Combo Clean preset. And then I added in another bass amp just to fatten it up a little bit. Ever so slight. And then I added in this room reverb from the Quantec Room Simulator plugin in Logic. This plugin is really nice to give you that roomy vibe. It's a really realistic sounding reverb. So I figured it would work well on this sound here. So it kind of gives it a little bit more life to it. All right, so that's the instrument and the effects that we used on the guitar. Then I bounced it in place. The reason why I bounced it in place is because I couldn't quite match the placement of the rhythm in MIDI for whatever reason. I was getting frustrated, so I said, let me just bounce it to audio. And then I just moved around the pieces as needed to match the original track. And we get this. The pattern's a little different here. So that is the first 4-bar pattern. And then from there, we go into a secondary pattern or another pattern. So we're using the same instrument for that pattern as well. Let's go down to here. It's this right over here. We'll solo that out. And then layered with that, we have this, because I didn't quite get the tone of this last little chord hit. And for that sound, we're also using another guitar sound in Logic. I did have to refine that track as it wasn't in the session here, but here it is right here now. So we have this pattern over here. So just playing this. Just little picks. And just to get that tone for that end chord there. So that's what this pattern is over here. And for that sound, we are using Logic's Glam Rock Bass preset found under Legacy, Logic Bass, Electric Bass, the Glam Rock Bass preset. So that is pattern number 2. And then we get to pattern number 3, which is this over here. Let's just solo that out. that pattern looks like this. We're using the same guitar once again, that 60s bass from Logic Studio Bass plugin. Now for this part of the track, I couldn't quite get that guitar strum, this one right over here, to get it to sound like the original track. For whatever reason or not, I tried a bunch of guitars, so I just sampled the little section from the original track, just that guitar strum pattern, just to layer it up. So together we get this for this section. It's a little bit of a cheat, but I just want to get that tone in there. And then last but not least, which is actually really important, is this guitar hum effect. So in the track, it sounds very lively, very raw. And it had this guitar hum from the amps that they're using. So I just want to put that in there as well. So that's just in the background, the entire track, to give us that live, raw, edgy feel. I'm just going to bring that back down here. And that just layers in with the guitar. And as you continue on the track, we get this first A pattern that we had, and it just keeps playing over and over again. Once again, I had to move the chords to match the original track. It's a very lively feel track, the recording. It wasn't on the grid. And for this sound, I actually switched up the guitars because I like the way it sounded for this part of the track. So for that guitar that we just listened to, it is this track right over here. So let's go ahead and take a listen to it. Same pattern as before, just a new guitar instrument. All right, so for this guitar sound, we are using Logic's Liverpool bass, found under Legacy, Logic, Bass, Electric Bass, the Liverpool bass preset. But the magic here on this sound, once again, is the Mk.gee, the amp. Let's go ahead and just take everything off. That's what it sounds like on its own. All right, so we added the Mk.gee to match the tone of the original track's guitar. Add an amp. Same one as before. Added a bit crusher to get a little bit dirtier and give some noise. Added another bass amp. Give it that nice bottom end. And again, a reverb. But the magic on this sound here, aside from the effects, is within the sampler plugin itself, and it is the unison over here. So watch if I turn off the voices, the guitar is going to sound a little bit less body, and less wide. I go to 6 voices, kind of fills that up. And once again, I bounced that in place, and I just had to adjust the placement of the notes and chords to match the original track. I did add an additional amp here just to give it a little bit more fullness, and some EQ just to fix it up a bit. So that's the intro and verse. So let's go ahead and just jump to the drums now for a second, and then we'll get back to the chorus. So for the drums, it's very simple. We just have a kick and a snare. So I'm just gonna open our drum section up, and we get this. So we have a kick. Oh, let me just solo out that. All right, just hitting on the ones and threes. And then we have a snare. Hitting on the 2s and 4s. Very straightforward. And then on this little build-up section, the part where I sampled the guitar from the original track, we get like a little hi-hat build-up. So for those hats, I'm using Logic's drum kit designer, the Retro Rock kit. Let's go ahead and solo that out so you hear how it sounds on its own. Now the magic on this instrument is within the automation, so the hats sort of build up into this big crescendo type thing. And then if I go ahead and hit automation here, you can see it kills it out right away, so that it gives you that roomy vibe going up and then kills it right out, which is a really nice effect that was used in the track. See, so it goes super quiet for the next part, so it gives you that build up and it takes you out of it, which is really nice. Get a little hat roll here. Another build up. So over here we get a snare roll. And that takes us into the chorus. Chorus, the guitars are more on the grid, so it's easier to do. So let's go ahead and break it down. So first things first, let's break down our grunge guitars first. So we have 1, 2, 3. So to get that grungy tone, this is the first guitar. For the sound, I'm using Logic's New Surf lead, found under Legacy, Logic Guitars, Electric Guitars, New Surf lead. And to layer with that, like a more grittier, distorted sound. All right, this one is the Festival lead, found under Legacy Logic Guitars, Electric Guitars, Festival lead. And then to give it some body on the low end, we used Logic's Studio Bass guitar here, the classic setting, same pattern once again. And then layered with that is the main guitar that we had. And that guitar is this guitar right over here. So that Liverpool bass one. Just bounce down into audio format, so we have everything nicely laid out on our guitar track. So all the guitars together sound like this. And then layered underneath those guitars, we have an organ that kind of builds up. For that sound, we are using Logic's Vintage B3 organ. The preset can be found under Vintage B3 organ, the Oakland organ sound. Not much was adjusted to it, just a little bit of a boost on the top end of the organ. But that's it. Nothing really much too crazy going on there. So the organ and the guitar sound like this. Let's bring in that hum. Just kind of miss it. It's kind of in the background. And that gets louder as the chorus goes. And then all that's left is the drums. So we have the kick. We have a snare. We have a secondary snare, and we have our hats. And we have some rolls here, which I sampled from the original track. All right, and for the rest of the track, the arrangement pretty much loops itself, except the guitar patterns do switch up. Like literally it's a different guitar for every section. So I got a little bit lazy in the arrangement here, and I just repeated the same sort of intro guitar here. But in the original track, the guitar pattern does change. And then in the breakdown, which I also didn't remake because it was just a lot to this guitar pattern and sound. Like, it doesn't sound like it, but it was a lot. This is the breakdown section. I just bounced it from the track itself. And then I bounced down this outro as well. In the outro, you get the kick and a new snare sound. So you have the guitar sounds if you did want to go ahead and remake the breakdown and the outro guitar, but the patterns were just kept changing and it would have taken so much longer than it already took. So I figured we have the guitar sounds. The pattern, for the most part, we have the main pattern, so let's just stick to what we have and call it a day. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a listen to how everything sounds together. That right there is the remake to Justin Bieber's Daisies remade in Logic Pro. For Logic Pro users out there, I'm going to go ahead and save this entire session for you, place it as a downloadable link below this video. If you don't use Logic, I got your back as well. I'm going to export all the MIDI stamps, audio stamps, and of course include the drum kit that you heard in this remake. You can find that entire playback down below the like button as well. If you do have any questions on this, or just want to chat or have any suggestions for future videos, go chat down below. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one. Later.